We have committed ourselves for creating and improving the business environment. Good morning, everyone. That once you decide to be in India, we are confident to make you comfortable.
What is Make in India? This is a carbon copy of the program that our government had chalked out as new manufacturing policy.
मेक इन इंडिया की बात करते हैं, मैं आपको अभी बता देता हूँ, आप अभी से प्रचार शुरू कर दो, मेक इन इंडिया कुछ होने वाला है नहीं, जीरो निकलेगा इसमें से, जीरो।
Hello and welcome to the special edition of Truth versus Hype as the Modi government turns 1 year old. We've been drowning in anniversary coverage, so we thought we would sift through all the various aspects and focus on one of the key promises of this government, which is to create millions of jobs through Make in India, an ambitious idea to turn India into a global manufacturing hub. Of course, with the rider that we'll be debating this with the fact that it's very, very early days. So I guess what we're doing at this stage is to take stock of where we stand with some of the very, very grand claims made from the ramparts of Red Fort. And I'm joined by a very special panel indeed. Let me set the ball rolling with Amitabh Kant, who is in fact the architect and the overseer of Make in India as the secretary of the DIPP. Thanks very much indeed, Amitabh, for joining us. Now, as you must have already heard, the Congress party, the opposition, some of those leaders who've actually been your former bosses have described Make in India as yet another example of old wine in a new bottle. That this is all part of the UPA's manufacturing policy repackaged. To that, you would say what?
I think this government has done some very critical and very important things. First of all, over the years, we had made manufacturing extremely complicated, difficult and very complex in India to do business.
Okay.
So I think one of the key things this government has done is to focus very, very strongly on ease of doing business in terms of doing away with a number of procedures, paperwork, rules, regulations and acts. I think that's very, very important if you want to sustain manufacturing.
But even as you say that, we actually went to your website to look at some of the changes that you claim to have made. And here's a list of some of the things that you said that you've done which is different, but which, as I said, the Congress or the UPA says was already decisions that they took. For example, you've launched this e-biz portal to simplify business. The UPA says they launched that in January 2014. We actually have a graphic on that, so we can put that up on screen. You say you brought in FDI in insurance, defense, telecom, single brand retail commodities. UPA says some of those, like telecom, retail, commodities, were all cleared under them. Your impetus, you say, is on smart cities and industrial corridors. That, they say, was all cleared under their national manufacturing policy of 2011, some of which you probably already know because you were there in the earlier avatar as well.
No.
So what's new then?
See, governance is about continuity, and I'm not here to debate what the previous government has done or what the new government has done.
Okay.
But I think this government, and particularly the Prime Minister, has brought manufacturing into sharp focus. I think he's really, really focused with immense energy on driving India's manufacturing in terms of, one was ease of doing business.
Okay.
I think secondly is to open the economy with much greater vigor. Because manufacturing is not about protectionism, it's about being a player in the global supply chain.
Okay, so what you're
saying,
saying,
a vast range of sectors have been opened up.
All right, so what you're saying in a way, the difference, from what I understand what you're saying is the fact that there is now a high level monitoring and there's a kind of high level driving force behind it, which may not have been there earlier. Let me put that to Baba Kalyani, who joins us from Pune, who is of course the chairman and managing director of Bharat Forge, which is a forging, engineering and also involved in defense industry. Thanks very much, Mr. Kalyani, for joining us. What is the change that you see in the past year between the great manufacturing push the UPA claims to have given and what you're seeing now? Or are you seeing a change at all?
Well, a lot of things have changed. For example, if you look at defense manufacturing, in the earlier times, the license was valid for 1 year. Now it's been made valid for 7 years. So you see continuity in terms of your ability to look at investments in this sector.
Right.
And I think you're beginning to see a lot of activity on the ground. We didn't have a level playing field earlier. We now have a level playing field. So the taxation system has been tweaked to create a level playing field.
Okay.
So there are lots of little things that have happened that have made things a lot easier.
Okay, well, in fact, I actually spoke to Anand Sharma, former Commerce Minister and the erstwhile boss of Amitabh Khan, where I asked him that while it may be true that a lot of these ideas may be initiated by the UPA, nothing or not much really got off the ground because of policy paralysis, and whether he agreed with that.
No, that's not true. 4 were already launched. How can this be called policy paralysis? I'm surprised. Agreements were entered into with states. 16 of these which I referred to were notified, and besides these 16, there are 2 more which were given the status of NIMS because there are a lot of incentives, including tax benefits, which are inbuilt in the policy for electronic hardware and wafer chip fabrication. So there is not an original vision. It's just a continuity. What is original is that the name given, because there are 4 pillars. Invest India, this national manufacturing policy, and NIMS, that's the zones I have described, which are full cities dedicated to manufacturing. Third is the industrial corridors, and then the EBS project. Now all have been put together in one package, that's Make in India, and the logo, we cannot claim any ownership to that. That ownership belongs to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP government.
PN Vijay, do you agree with that? That this is really carrying forward, as the Congress keeps claiming, these are all UPA ideas which you're rebranding and passing off as new?
Srinivasan, I think it's all a matter of focus and strategy. My sense was that the earlier UPA government was focused on whatever they called empowerment of the masses, or security guarantees for jobs and food security. Their focus was not manufacturing.
Right.
With the result that the percentage of manufacturing to GDP fell precipitously, and we all know that over time, when that happens, that's the core of an economy.
Yes.
Agriculture is not able to get a market for its products, and services just dwindles because services get built on manufacturing.
Yeah.
So what Modi has tried to do, and what we have tried to do in the NDA,
yes,
is to put the focus back on manufacturing.
Mohammed Salim, would you welcome this? The fact that there's a push towards manufacturing and all these millions of jobs are supposedly going to be created?
It's always welcome decision if at all the government focus on manufacturing sector, and that also incentive to the job, creation of job, because huge unemployed youths are there, and in fact every year 2 crores are joining over the years. So government is that from the 90s we are listening, this government or that government, the debate is not who conceived it, the question is what is being delivered. The governance is not only just announcing from the rampart of the Red Fort. Yes. Governance means you have to not only conceptualize, but also have the mechanism to implement that and deliver. Now, this 1 year is not enough.
Okay, let's bring it.
But for 2.5 decades, we are waiting. Let me
put that.
So naturally, you become a skeptic.
Let me put that to Amitabh Khan. How many jobs do you think have been created in the past year because of this, or is it too early?
You know, I think the important thing and the best example of that is Mr. Kalyani himself, who's setting up 4 manufacturing units of defense. You know, sectors after sectors have been opened up. Defense, which is extremely closed and which is a key driver of job creation and manufacturing, has been totally opened up to a great extent. And if you look around, I mean, the great example is of Renault, which has made its global car, and the first time in its history of 117 years has done the complete designing and manufacturing with 98% indigenization in India.
But is that enough, Renana? Because I was looking at the numbers, it says there are 12 million new job seekers every year. Manufacturing is only creating about 1.4 million jobs a year, and 90% of India is still employed in the informal sector.
Yeah, actually, if we are going to talk about jobs and employment, then I think we need to understand what the economy is like now. And what it is that 86, you said 90%, that's the informal sector with the workers and everything. But 86% of our jobs or employment are in the unorganized sector. That is small manufacturing, small services, small trade.
Right.
And of that, 64% are self-employed. So the majority, by far the largest number of people, are small self-employed people.
Okay. Do you feel that these plans, like this push towards manufacturing, is a good opportunity for them to get out of that? Or do you feel that they're not somehow factored into
I think when we are talking about manufacturing, we are talking about large corporations, which are important. But remember, 64% are small self-employed, and many of them are in manufacturing.
Right.
So if we are going to talk about employment, the large corporations have a certain space, but they need not be all the space. In fact, a lot of the space, a lot of the increase of productivity, a lot of promotion should go towards this small self-employed. And I think that focus still needs to come.